Hi, Chad Lang here. In this video, I want to talk about the notion or my life experience where if I even entertain the notion of going back to the LDS church, um, the people who are inviting me are operating under the assumption that I just totally accept uh, everything that they think about life in the world. And they're also fishing for that uh, vocal acceptance with follow-up questions. And you don't really want to tell them anything that they don't want to hear, is what I've learned in life, because then you're an evil, unconverted, bad person. So I want to start with talking about a friend of mine. I probably shouldn't mention his name because he makes a lot of money and he wrote a best-selling book on how to understand your credit. So props to him for that. He really made something out of his life. So whatever I say about him, he definitely has that over me. And I just want to be upfront about that. But this would have been early 2000s. He's a solid guy, by the way. But yeah, he's got the church personality. He invites me to go see this television recording of Prophet Ezra Taft Benson speaking. And the only thing I really remember from the talk or the sermon is Ezra Taft Benson saying that there's no such thing as soulmates, which, I can agree with that. I don't think there's any such thing as soulmates. But what's really interesting is if you read in Sacred Loneliness, The Pearl Wives of Joseph Smith is using that pickup line on some of the women that he's coercing into marriage, that we were made for each other from the foundation of the world. So you got a contradiction of prophets there. That aside, I watched this thing and I didn't really have anything against it, but he turns to me and he just has this big dopey grin on his face. Isn't this the greatest rationale you've ever heard in your life? And it's like, no, not particularly. Yeah, I didn't have anything against what he said. And as I said, I agree with him on that point. But no, like whatever it is you're feeling, I'm not feeling it. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. And so let's fast forward a few years here. Again, I'm going through multiple reactivation techniques. The missionaries invite me to watch General Conference, and I've watched it on my own a bunch of times, and so I watch it, and then they do these follow-up questions, big dopey grins on their faces, isn't this the greatest rationale you've ever heard in your life? No, not particularly. I mean, I didn't have anything against it, but yeah, it didn't particularly strike me at all. And so let's fast forward another few years, and I have home teachers coming to my house. They want me to watch this church video, so we watch it. And it's basically the message is, you come to your house, you want to turn off the world, you want to tune into the spirit, and they're using like this old phonograph or this old stereo and light pleasing 50s music. And I get the messaging. They're showing people going rah 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 and social justice warriors, and they're talking about perceived injustice, and I get that. Okay, I'm on the Joe Rogan, Brett Weinstein, Jordan Peterson, Chris Martinson camp when it comes to what's going on in the world today and social justice warriors and the Me Too movement and all that. So right there, that puts me in the bad guy camp for left-thinking people. But I agree with these men for the most part. I get the messaging, but I'm a heavy metal dude, okay? So the way they're portraying this message is completely anti to the way that I perceive music. I like it loud, I like it heavy, and I like to rock, okay? And these guys in their suits and ties with short hair are watching this thing, and you can tell they're just madly in love with it. Okay, they're having an orgasm on how 1950s wholesomeness is. And they expect me to feel the same way about it because they assume that the Spirit is touching me in that way. And it's like, no, not really. Whatever you guys are feeling, I'm not feeling it. And they're just creaming their pants over how 1950s wholesomeness is. Like, they are madly in love with the gospel. And it's like, no, guys, I'm not feeling it. Like, I never say that, because you don't say that. You start saying that and people get shocked and bewildered and they're so hurt that you're going to hell. So you learn how to lie. You learn how to tell people what they want to hear. And I've been placating the sensibilities of Ned Flanders, Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith Show Mormons for most of my life. Okay, because I've learned very quickly that if you reveal that you have misgivings, or if you aren't feeling what they're feeling, they are really shocked and hurt that you're going to burn in the lake of fire for all eternity. And that's not a good thing when you're the kind of person who's also sensitive, and you're being religiously manipulated. Basically, your sensibilities and you're being emotionally leveraged. They may not know that they're emotionally leveraging you, but that's basically what happens if you're the kind of person who cares about what they think of you. And it's taken me a long time to stop caring about that, and I had to read books on cult mind control in order to understand that. But yeah, these guys they just expect you, or they assume that if you show any interest at all, that you're just on board with everything that they think about life in the world. And they're shocked when they find out otherwise. They're morally appalled. Okay, they are so hurt and so worried that you're going to burn in the lake of fire. And their responses show it. All right. And, you're sitting at church and you're listening to people. There's this one guy. He married a physicist. Okay. Like, she made a lot of money. And he's of the traditional LDS opinion that when they get hitched, she's got to quit her job and be the homemaker, and he's got to be the breadwinner. And that's just the way it is. Even though he makes, pretty close to minimum wage. And he's talking about this in priesthood quorum, and everybody's going along with it. And I'm just thinking in my head, it's like, no, you don't have to do it that way. I mean, okay, I understand the whole mother stays at the home and looks after the kids thing, but she can continue to work while you guys put money away, and then she can go on mat leave. And if she wants to be a homemaker, and stay home with the kids after that mat leave is over, at least you guys have put some money away and invested it, so you're not living on, peanuts on a minimum wage job. Okay, but you don't challenge the thinking. As soon as you challenge the thinking, this is when people start verbally crucifying you, basically. And so you learn very quickly to keep your mouth shut. And I've kept my mouth shut for most of my life because I've been afraid, because I've been chewed up and spit out. Whenever I challenge anything, you do not challenge, you do not question, you do not reveal that you're not totally on board with the program. Well, now I don't care anymore. So I am revealing that I think a lot of people are being ridiculous, and I don't agree. I don't agree with your life sensibilities. I don't agree with the way you see life in the world. I don't think that. I'm not going to think that as a measure of my conversion, and it's simply just not going to happen. Now, I can still be a good person. I was a good person for a good chunk of my life before I got into, certain kinds of trouble, but that doesn't mean that I agreed with everything that people were insisting this is the way that life is, and this is the way that you ought to see it as a measure of your conversion to this gospel. Okay? And I'm not going to agree with a lot of those sentiments and sensibilities. It's not going to happen. And anyone who expects that it should happen, if I show any interest whatsoever, you know what? You're being ridiculous. You're barking up the wrong tree. You do not understand anyone else's life sensibilities except for your own, and except for the majority membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And you need to learn that the rest of the world is not just going to hop on board with the way that you see everything about life in the world in order to make themselves available for God's forgiveness. And if this is a concept that's difficult for you, then you're a dingbat. Okay? That's all there is to it. And if you don't like me saying it, I don't care. That's exactly what I am saying. And there's nothing that you can say that's going to change that. And if you're totally morally horrified, if you think I'm the worst person on the planet, go right ahead, because I'm not talking to you people anymore. I'm not talking to people like that anymore. I'm not wasting my time with them. We don't agree on life in the world, and that's all there is to it. Have a nice life.